Thank you so much, Marshall. And hello, everyone. Today is July 8th, 2026. This is the Wednesday CalPads Q&A, and my name is Matt Clark. I'm a data governance administrator at CSIS supporting CalPads, and I'll be hosting the Q&A today. Driving documentation for us is Gary Gerwer.
Hello.
In terms of announcements, I do have a few for folks today. First, the end of year one initial certification deadline is next Friday, July 17th, 2026. This is the date by which LEA approval is required and SELPA approval is strongly encouraged. This date was communicated in an email from the CDE to LEAs yesterday with a little bit of additional information. Please note that for LEAs and independently reporting charter schools that fail to meet the end of year one certification deadline, that is, fail to LEA approve by July 17th, notifications will be sent to both county and district superintendents, as well as charter school administrators, to notify them of the missed deadline. After the initial July 17th deadline, we will enter the amendment window for end of year one, and the amendment window closure and final CalPads deadline for end of year one is July 31st, 2026. All right, second announcement here, Flash 326 was released yesterday, July 7th, with guidance regarding new job classification codes and course attributes for the 26-27 academic year. Flash 326 is quite extensive, containing a summary of changes, an explanation of new fields, reporting changes, new or modified validations, guidance on reporting pull-in, push-out, or itinerant assignments, reporting student course section records, and Fall 2 reports. The guidance in Flash 326 will assist in building out master schedules and teaching assignments, which is occurring at LEAs right now, and it will also become quite relevant in the Fall 2 data submission in 26-27. All right, final announcement. The CDE will release new ARF updates for the 24-25 academic year as a downloadable file on July 14th, and the CDE will be offering a webinar to help LEAs to best understand these new rates on July 15th from 3:30 to 4 p.m. This was communicated in an email from the CDE to LEAs today, and the email did include registration information. I'll go ahead and place the registration link for the CDE webinar on new RFEP rates for 24-25 in chat here. All right. And that is it for my announcements. Angela, any announcements on known issues, defects, or deployments to share today?
Yeah, I think the known issues is up to date. We're doing it a little bit different these days, but so that should be accurate. We did have a release go in yesterday. We are not going to have a release go in next week. We don't like to do that the week of a deadline. So there are still some outstanding EOI 1 report defects, and we've started having a discussion here about what do we tell you if you are impacted on that. And I think the advice we landed on is if you go ahead and certify to meet the deadline and then just plan on potentially having to certify a newer revision during the amendment window once that bug or bugs are fixed. And that was all I had today, Matt.
All right. Thank you so much, Angela. And Dominic, Milo, any CDE folks, any announcements?
No new announcements here.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the questions then, and we'll begin with Q1 from Eva at 301. When offering students online elective courses through an online course provider, for example, Edmentum, may we use CTE state course codes for those courses if they will not be offered as CTE courses and will be taught by a non-CTE teacher?
My understanding, you can still use CTE course codes, even though it's not a CTE course, if that best describes the course that they're in.
Right, and Rebecca did put a resource from the CTC in the chat there as well. All right. Thank you for taking us there, Gary. So it looks like there is quite a bit of good information on which courses should use CTE course codes and which should not. We've even got a nice little flow chart there. Thank you, Rebecca, as well as Gary, and thank you for the question, Eva. All right, next we'll move on to a Q1 from Susan at 304. What is the best way to edit incident data for the SINC, SIRS, and SOFF in the UI instead of as a full replacement file? All right, and then Chris has a suggestion to modify the upload files and re-upload instead of doing it in online maintenance directly so that you have a record of the changes. Do folks have something to add to Chris's suggestion?
Yeah, so if you did want to do it in online. Is it Gary that's driving right now?
Yes.
He took us to the incident page. You want to show us one more time how you got there?
Online
Your
maintenance.
online maintenance.
Oh,
yeah.
here, incident data.
And then you look up the incident ID and click apply filters, and then you can edit the SINC, SIRS, and SOFF from the screen. You can't do it from the student angle. You have to come in through the incident side.
Perfect. Thank you, Angela, Gary, and Chris for the assist there. All right, next we have a Q1 from Jennifer at 306. I have an error code CRSC 0457. I'm having issues with the meeting. What is the difference between the codes? And Gary's taking us to the CRSC 0457 right now. All right. So missing online course instruction type code indicator. So she's asking about the difference between the distance learning indicator and the online course instruction type code. That's the two fields that are validated.
Well,
I believe the online course instruction type code is the instructor-led, facilitated, or learner-led codes. And so if you do mark the distance learning indicator as yes, then you'll need to indicate whether that course was instructor-led, facilitated, or learner-led. And there are definitions for the three of those in the CALPADS code sets.
That's how you do it.
All right. Thank you, Gary and Jennifer. All right, next we have a Q1 from Mary at 306. We just discovered yesterday that some of our users don't have access to all of the end of year one reports. They're grayed out or inaccessible. We asked our LEA admin to give us access, but she said we already have access to end of year 1, 2, and 3, which are the old reports. What guidance can I give her so that she can assign all of the reports to us?
Those roles don't exist like that, 1, 2, and 3. It's just one role called EOI reports.
All right, and then Gary's got the user manual pulled up with the different report.
It's outdated.
Well, it does have the EOI reports in there.
Yeah.
It just also contains the old ones.
Yeah, it's collapsed now. It's just EOI reports.
So ensure that your LEA or that you have access to the EOI reports role.
And then Matt, if you could make a note so when Kyron gets back, we can fix that.
Yes, absolutely. I'll make a note now. Though I'm sorry to the field. Kyron will be out for most of the month of July.
So Laura's got a good point. She didn't have the SPED view role, and I guess that could be the case. There are maybe some SPED reports that also require the SPED view role. Thank you, Laura.
Yes, thank you, Laura and Angela. All right, I'll move on to Q1 from Jerry at 312. Hi, Matt. Hi, Jerry. I was curious if there's any guidance on restrictions for view-only CalPads accounts. I know there are only 2 LEA admin roles allowed, but are there any similar restrictions for view-only accounts? Is there a limit for LEAs or a particular set of job titles that should only have access?
I've seen LEAs with quite a few.
I think
don't think there's
if
a
it's
limit.
not limitless, it's a very high number. Angela, do you know if there's a threshold?
I don't believe there is. I thought he was more asking, should there be one?
I do think that there should be some definitely local considerations on which types of job titles should have access to CalPads. And it is a strong privacy and security consideration to ensure that folks do have the proper roles assigned in the CalPads system. But for those view only roles, it does allow them to view data, and a lot of that data is highly sensitive. So I would be careful about assigning those accounts. But the CalPads system itself doesn't limit, or at least not any way that's appeared meaningfully to us, the number of view roles that you're allowed to have.
And isn't it the LEA administrator's job to make sure those are kept up to date? If you have staff that are leaving,
Yes.
they should be inactivated from CalPads.
Yes, very good point. Thank you, Gary. And then Rebecca has a local process that she's highlighted in the comments there. She says, we have several people with view-only accounts. However, they're required to fill out a form and review security agreements. Not all requests are approved. They really vet the request to determine if the access would be appropriate. And I do think that that's a very good process, Jerry. I would highly recommend utilizing a process similar to that locally for those roles. Right. Moving on to, Eva, I believe this is a Q1 in the kind of secondary comment in the thread there, or a Q2 in the secondary comment of the thread there. So I'll circle back up to that question. I'm going to get to Angela's Q1 next. So we have a Q1 from Angela at 313 regarding CalPADS known issue 1265. Is this affecting all districts? For any who have LEA approved already, will they need to decertify? So 1265 is the 16.27 and 16.28 SPED completer counts has missing students.
Yeah, we've had quite a few tickets put in on that where I don't know if it just started happening. I know they just released the fixes for this report. And then yesterday I saw we had quite a few tickets come in where the students were missing. I guess you'd have to look at your reports. And if you see these computers missing, then yeah, you'll have to wait for the fix to go in. And then, as Angela said, go ahead and keep certified. And then you may have to recertify during the amendment window once the fix goes in.
So in addition to the one you escalated, Gary, there's 6 more people that have reported it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
All right. Thank you, Gary. As well as both Angela Ratty and Angela Mata. All right, moving on to Lori's Q1 at 313. Will the RFEP rate webinar be recorded? The email did not state whether the RFEP rate webinar will be recorded, and that was the primary source of my information. So I'm unsure. In cases where I'm unsure, I like to kind of assume no. So I would register to attend if at all possible, or send some folks to be note takers for you. And if it is recorded, that'll be kind of a happy outcome as well. Dominic, do you know if the RFEP webinar rate would be recorded? Just asking because it's a CDE webinar.
That's pretty funny. No, I don't, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. So try to attend, Lori. But if not, try to send someone to get the info for you. All right, next we have a Q1 from Sin at 316. When will the new exit codes take effect?
Does it say in here anywhere? Where? I apologize. I haven't read all 10 pages yet.
I think this is different from the
Oh,
exit
this is different.
codes. The exit codes are for the transfers to alternative education.
Mm.
I remember the conversations around it, but I don't remember the exact date that they were, or even
The
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 time
rollover
period that
date,
we
right?
implemented. Okay. So the rollover date is July 15th? No,
Um,
25th?
that was August 25th. Didn't we say
Okay.
to go find that email? I don't even have we sent that email out that said when it's happening?
Yeah, I think in that flash where we are saying about the course changes, we talk about the rollover being August 25th.
Yep, I found it.
So we have a confirmed August 25th?
So yeah, August 25th. It's on the very first page, Gary, second paragraph, last sentence.
Oh, there it is.
But it will be released with the same release as the job classification codes and course sections, right? Because this is the exit codes.
Yeah, they'll all any new codes or retirement codes will all happen at the rollover.
Perfect. And the rollover SIN is August 25th. All right, moving on to Maria at 317. Our SELPA conducts IEPs during the summer. I was told we can't obtain an SSID for the student because school was not in session. How would we go about reporting this if we can't upload it?
I don't know anything about not being able to obtain an SSID in the summer. I do know that meet records, for example, don't require an overlapping enrollment to post, but the student would still need to have a CALPADS record and an SSID.
And just for people to know, you can request SSIDs even though your school hasn't started yet. So CalPADS allows up to, I think it's still 6 months, but we're moving it, I think, to up to 3 months in the future. So long as your this first day of school is within the 3 month, from now to, I don't know what 3 months is from now, you'll be allowed to post the SSID.
3 months from now is pretty close to Census Day.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Alex and Dominic. All right, Maria, I did read your second question and it looks like a Q2 to me. I apologize if I'm misinterpreting, but I'll jump up to Eva's Q2 before jumping into yours. So Eva has a Q2 at 313. The content of the course is identified as CTE on the Edmentum platform. So follow up to the Edmentum question. When I reviewed the CalPADS code sets, I found that the Edmentum course description matches a CTE course description. Can we use CTE state course codes for these courses if they will not be offered as CTE courses and will be taught by a non-CTE teacher?
Again, my understanding is yes.
Yes, I believe that is also correct. So do not, for the high quality CTE course indicator, mark that one NA or no, because the course is not being taught by a CTE credentialed teacher. But if the content of the course most closely aligns with the content of a state course code for a CTE course, I believe you would still use the CTE state course code. Right, it looks like Rebecca has provided some more guidance in the chat box for you. So I hope you've got the resources you're looking for, Eva. All right. Next, we have Maria at 318, a student enrolled in our district on April 7th, 2026. The parent brought an exiting IEP. We now have a CalPADS error for the student. I contacted the previous district because the new SWIDS was not uploaded to show that he was exited. I was informed today that the parent did not sign the IEP, so the student should have received services, and a 30-day IEP should have been held. How can we correct this error? The student has moved on to our high school district.
Maria, if you would please submit a service desk ticket, including the student's SSID, just so we can take a look at the data in CalPads and give you the most accurate guidance.
All right. Thank you, Dominic. And Maria. All right, next we have a Q1 from Eva at 3:20. When will the CalPads rollover take place? August 25th, 2026. All right, now we have a Q1 at 3:22 from C. Howigi, Selena, from Selena at 3:22. For validation 19, if a parent declined to have their child assessed, what can I send up to have the student fall off the list of validations?
There is a non-participation reason that you can post with a students with disability status record. It would be a status of 4, not eligible. I believe it's code 26, no consent for C to B transition. But take a look at the code sets. There are a couple of appropriate codes that you can post that SWIDS with in order to clear that validation.
All right. And I don't think I've beat Gary's record, but we have reached the end of the Q&A box pretty early today. So please, if you have, oh, there we go.
Yeah, Rebecca says no.
And if we do have additional questions beyond Rebecca's, try to get those in the Q&A box as well. We want to be able to provide you as much support as we can leading up to the initial deadline for end of year 1. But Rebecca's Q1 at 3:23. We have many LEAs in our county ready to certify end of year 1. They were just waiting for the LEAP data. If you have time, can you walk participants through how an LEA can copy and paste data from a spreadsheet onto the LEAP batch file, then upload it into CalPads?
Well,
It looks like we have the time. I don't know that I have the confidence in demoing that one live. I haven't demoed it in a training environment
the batch file is available here.
Wonder, Matt, if that would be a good video maybe Marshall could create and get that posted out.
I do think that would be a good video. Let me take a second note here on things to follow up on.
Sounds like a plan. Just let me know.
All right.
So I know a lot of times if you have a spreadsheet or if you have data in a text file, CSV, when you go to paste it in, it all goes into column 1. And then you have to go to data, text to columns, and then you go through this process. That's what you're talking about, Rebecca. But I don't have data to show that, unfortunately.
I would import it.
Yeah, you can import it. If you have, like, say, if you can actually take something like Snagit or something and catch a picture of it. Nowadays, with the new Excel, you can actually import data from an image into each individual cells. It's smart enough to parse it out for you and get it set out like that. I'll work on a video after I get caught up on that for you guys. Okay.
I would say just do a simple video, Marshall.
Okay.
I know you like to do all the latest technology, but I think even just one just showing how to import in the traditional Excel would be fine.
Not a problem.
All right. Thank you for the question, Rebecca. I think there's going to be some good resources coming your way because of this question. All right, next we have a Q1 from Larney at 3:24 regarding E156, graduated 12th grade continued education. We have updated our 12th graders who did not meet the graduation requirements in June, but are taking summer school with the E156. We are now in day 3 of summer school and are moving along with other tasks. Do we need to monitor these 12th graders we updated with the E156 to ensure that they're continuing with summer school, or can we just leave the E156, which will eventually become a dropout if the student did not complete the grad requirement, or if they ended up continuing next year, or if they did drop out?
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Sean.
So to Larney's question, I would continue monitoring Larney, especially if those students end before they complete summer school and complete the graduation requirements prior to the final amendment window deadline for ELY, then therefore you need to update those students then and post their actual graduation date. Remember, it's that 1 day enrollment, and it is not the start of it is not the start of summer school, but what date they actually ended and completed then summer school or completed those graduation requirements, because that's the additional information that you would be putting in there. And then if not, if they're still continuing then for that 12th grade year, a subsequent 12th grade year for the 27, 28, 26, 20, what year are we in? 25, 26. So it'd be 26, 27. Sorry. I had to think of what school year is next. So if they're continuing for the 26, 27 school year, then you need to post the subsequent enrollment. And those dates, again, those matter. I believe this is all documented in a flash. I'm almost positive about why those dates matter and how they count. Arnie, I don't recall what flash number. I saw Alex on the call. I know normally she's trigger happy, so I'm hoping she readily knows and can repost that guidance there.
Rebecca beat you to it, Alex. It's 303.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you, Rebecca. So yes, so then within flash 303, it's going to tell you that guidance there, and reposting the 26, 27 school year enrollment is also going to be key for those graduates that you placed as an E156. So I hope all of that helps, and I hope this flash as a reminder helps too.
All right. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you, Rebecca, as well, for the assist, and thank you, Larnie, for the question. All right, Susan, we will get back to your Q2 when we circle back, but we have a Q1 from Miguel at 326. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miguel. How do I go about removing one of our CALPADS LEA admins? My second director has resigned and it's just me again. I removed their permissions already, but wasn't sure about the other part. So if you have removed their permissions, I would submit a service desk ticket so that we can update our records internally at CSIS. I think that might be what May is referring to with the LEA contacts page of the CSIS website. If you let us know that someone's retired and that you're alone again, we can update our records to ensure that they reflect the kind of the turnover or evolution that took place at the LEA.
Matt, they should also put in a CALPADS support ticket besides just the CSIS Matt contact us ticket. They should put in a regular CALPADS service desk ticket through the UI. So therefore you can indicate that that account is no longer an LEA admin for your LEA, and you just have to complete the application. I think the button or the box, not button, I think the box says revoked, maybe. I believe correctly.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you as well, Jaime, for the assist there, and thank you, Miguel, for the question. All right, moving on to Nicole's Q1 at 329. I would like to clarify the requirement info for LEAP in end-of-year reporting. The LEAP template requests expanded learning program days, count of days. I was also told we only report the students who were eligible for ELOP and the dates of eligibility. Please tell me what we need to report this year. Thank you. And Gary has pulled up the revised Flash 305, which does contain, after a couple of revisions, the most current guidance for reporting the LEA program file. But it also does contain an explanation of those fields that you mentioned. So the expanded learning program days, I believe is, there we go. So those fields have a good kind of explanation and definition in the Flash there as well. And those are the two fields in the file. So you really do report the education program code as the expanded learning program, and then you report the duration of days.
This information is also in the CFS, the latest version of the CFS. And so to me, it's really clear just there as well, too. It's a copy of it for the definitions there.
Yeah. Always a great place to look. Thank you, Sean. All right. Thank you for the question as well, Nicole. We'll go ahead and move on now to a Q1 from Cassie at 331. If we have a student with disabilities enrolled in a county office run school and they are identified as foster youth, then end up enrolling in our juvenile hall program, what should we report as the primary residence code? 210 foster or 250 incarceration institution? Thank you.
So I'm looking at the code set, and incarceration institution for individuals who have been adjudicated by the court for placement in a juvenile hall or juvenile home, day center, ranch, or camp for individuals placed in a county community school. I guess you say the student enrolled in the juvenile hall program. Is that voluntary? Or are they adjudicated and then, okay. I would think incarceration institution is appropriate for the time that they are in the juvenile hall program. But I am open to any other information.
That sounds right to me as well, Dominic.
Okay.
Oh, Cassie says no.
Oh,
Can
no,
you elaborate on? Oh, she said no earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think the incarceration institution is the code to use, Cassie.
Right.
And we will circle back to your Q2. But now we've got all Q2s on the list, so we'll come back to Susan's Q2 at 324. Is the SPRG 194 and LEAP file the same thing, or do we have to upload both? They are not the same thing. The LEAP file is an LEA programs file, and that is different from the student program file type. But the 194 code does stand for the expanded learning program, and it is an active code. It has not yet been retired. So I can see the confusion there. Angela, do you have any guidance on the SPRG 194s?
They can't upload that though, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
can't upload it.
Yeah, 194 you can't upload. I believe you get a GER5 error.
Okay.
Your GER error that states it. And
So
go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say the 194, you're going to just do a mass paste in that LEAP file. So all students that are in that LEAP should have a code of 194. There is no code of 194 in the SPRG file, which I think is what Matt was trying to say. So if you were trying to give us a code of 194 in SPRG, that's just going to error out on you because it's not an acceptable code in that file. But it is a code that you need to populate in the LEAP file. And all of them are going to have that code right now because that's the only code that we have available for LEAP.
And that's why you're not able to submit the SPRG record with it, but it hasn't been retired, is because it's expected in the LEAP file. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alex.
All right. And thank you, Susan, for the question there. All right, moving on to Jerry's Q2, 327. Hi, Matt. Hey again, Jerry. Asking for a SPED coordinator friend. Is there a particular reason that only SELPA-level access can view the new 16.27 and 16.28 reports? Will this be released to the LEA and school levels in the future? Thank you. And then there is some chatter in the thread as well. Audrey says it is available to LEAs, but I believe you have to navigate to it under certification status instead of through the certification reports page. And then Laura says, I'm seeing it on the certification reports page at the LEA level. But if it's grayed out for you, you may want to confirm that you have the sped view roles.
I know at one time there was an issue where it wasn't available on this page. It was only through the certification screen, but they fixed that. So it is showing up here now.
So it should show up for you, Jerry or Jerry's SPED coordinator friend. But if it is grayed out, it may be a roles issue. So make sure that you have that SPED view role. Oh yeah, okay. Just looking in the wrong report section, but I think you should have it. You should have it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jerry. Next, we'll move on to Cassie's Q2 at 3:32. Is there guidance on how to review the 16.25 and 16.26 reports?
Well, I don't want to read Audrey's responses verbatim, but they're pretty excellent. 1625 is your Part B 60-day timeline. So in addition to taking a look at those overdue records to ensure the delay code is valid, make sure there's a pending record for any students who have, for whom you have received parental consent to assess, and then make sure any subsequent meet records that have been held do get posted. Audrey notes that there could be a difference in the consent date between the meet record and the pending record, so do make sure that is the same when you're posting those subsequent meeting records. And then on 1626, also a good note that it is not a complete list of SSIDs or of students that were participating in Part C, because a lot of that comes from the Department of Developmental Services and the regional centers. So just looking at the records that are represented in 1626, make sure the timelines are compliant and there are delay codes if they're not. And yeah, and Audrey also notes there is, you can take a look at that referral source code on the record to see if they have been referred by a regional center. And if you are Part C of the equation, yeah, you're not going to see, well, you may not have a lot of results on 1626 if those students are served at other LEAs. You know, if you are like a hub for an IFSP program, but the students are expected to continue Part B at their home district. But otherwise, yes, just make sure that the records posted have compliant timelines and all of the other relevant data is accurate.
All right. Thank you, Dominic. Cassie says thank you as well. All right, moving on to Larney's Q2 at 3:36. A follow-up to my Q1. Thank you, Sean, for the info. I was actually looking at Flash 274, and I want to confirm that this statement from that Flash, which is from 2024, still applies. Students who were exited with an E156 and who do not re-enroll or exit as a summer graduate will be counted as fifth-year graduate if they re-enroll in the next school year and graduate during that year, or will be reported as a dropout in the prior school year. I want to know if we can just leave the E156 or have to change them eventually to an E230 with 360 did not graduate.
I would recommend changing it because because if not, then they're going to show up on your ERD report. And so in order for those students not to show up on your ERD report, then yes, you would still change them over to either whatever their final status is going to be, because after all, E156 is kind of just like that holding pattern, Larney. So changing it over now versus changing it over later, to me, it saves you some work down the road. And so, and then it also reflects your numbers accurately, hopefully for dashboard then as well. I hope that helps.
All right. Thank you, Sean. And thank you, Larney, for the question as well. And that once again brings us to the end of the questions in the Q&A box. We do still have a bit of time here. So if anybody has any questions left over that they'd like to ask, please do get those into the Q&A box. All right. Looks like Maria was able to get a question in at 3:42. Validation end of year data quality checks round 2. Please explain how to proceed with validation number 15 and validation number 38. There are no SSIDs, so I'm not sure where to begin. Thank you.
Bear with me just a moment while the file opens. It'll open eventually. Almost there. Matt, if you want to jump to Angela's question while I wait for this file to open.
All right, will do. So
Yeah.
Maria, we will get right back to your question there at 3:42. But while we wait for some technical loading to occur, let's move on to Angela's Q2 at 3:43. A follow-up to Q1 regarding known issue 1265. I just cross-referenced our report 1.22 filtered for students with disabilities and compared it to 16.27, and the numbers do not align. Is that what the known issue is referring to? That the total graduates and completers unduplicated count on report 1.22 for students with disabilities should match the total completer and dropout count on report 16.27. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly.
Well, the tickets that we've been getting, it's for sure the students are showing as graduates, most of them with the E23100, but they're not showing on the 16.27, 16.28 reports. We also had, Audrey also had one that was a dropout, I believe, and they're also supposed to be showing that wasn't showing. So I think it's just a lot of students are missing from the 16.27, 16.28 report. But I don't believe they're missing from the 1.22 report. But it would be, I would think a lot of them would be the same students.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Dominic, did we buy you enough time to?
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so validation 15 is a reasonability check asking you to look at your indicator 1 percentage from last year compared to this year. So indicator 1, you're looking at the percent of students on IEPs who exited from high school with a regular high school diploma. So you just want to take a look at the relevant reports to ensure that the students who did graduate with a diploma were reported accurately, that their status is eligible and participating on that last day of enrollment, so that they will reflect correctly in the indicator. But it's just a reasonability check. You just want to compare the results last year to what you will receive this year based on your data in CALPADS. Validation 38 is another reasonability check for students who were experienced a discipline of amount of 10 or fewer days of in-school suspension. So you want to take a look at your discipline data and take a look particularly at specific race ethnicity groups whose rate of discipline for 10 days or fewer in school has changed by 10%, either 10% more or 10% less for this year. So again, it's just a reasonability check looking at your results from the previous year compared to what you will be certifying in this end of year 3, or end of year 3, end of year 1.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dominic. All right, we have a Q2 from Miguel at 346. I know I missed this, and I was coming into the Q&A. I heard August something, but not the exact date. When is the official CALPADS rollover? And to confirm, we should be uploading SPED records after this rollover takes place. I'll leave the SPED question to Dominic, but Chris is correct. The rollover date is August 25th, 2026.
I believe you can send up SPED records as long as your special education data system has updated their code sets to match the new academic year. But we would recommend not posting anything until after you have completely certified end of year, just to avoid any potential issues with new data causing conflicts or triggering something.
All right. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you, Chris, as well, for the written assist. And thank you, Miguel, for the question. Next up, we have a Q1 from Jasmine at 347. In regards to the 25-26 end of year data quality checks, round 2 of our schools was flagged for validation 33, restraint and seclusion. However, our school is a non-classroom-based independent study program, so we will never report the restraint or seclusion as discipline reasons. What will the consequence of this be in the future? Will there be any way for us to not use that program type in the future?
You should work with your focus monitoring and technical assistance consultant on this. It is an automatic flag, but you can have that conversation with your consultant.
All right. Thank you, Dominic. And thank you, Jasmine, for the question. Moving on to Mary's Q2 at 347. We have a 12th grader that did not graduate and plans to enroll in adult school. Do we use E156 or T160 and then confirm with the adult school? If they don't enroll in adult school, then should we change the E156 or T160 to E23360 and make sure to do so by August 15th? Gary's pulling up all the codes in the code sets.
There's a code for transferring to adult school, T260. Not T160.
Okay. They have a T260. They have a 12th grader that did not graduate and plans to enroll in adult school. The definition is student withdrew from or left to enroll in an adult education program. T260 does look like the most appropriate code to me. More appropriate than E156 or T160 in particular.
I agree.
All right. So, Mary, we recommend using the T160 transferred to an adult school. But if you
260.
Oh my gosh, we recommend using T260 transferred to an adult school. But if you've attempted that and have run into issues, or if you have any follow-up questions for us, please let us know and we can engage with it a bit further. All right, Rebecca has a Q2 regarding Flash 326 for itinerant or pull-out push-in staff. Is it correct that they are required to have a staff assignment record with a job classification code of 13, a CRSE record assigned to that staff, but CRSE is not required? Yes, that is correct. So the job classification code 13 is the teacher job classification code under the new 26-27 codes. And itinerant or pull-out push-in teachers would be coded as teachers. So they would use the 13. Instead of having the itinerant pull-out push-in as a job classification code, now it's an attribute to the course section records. So you would assign those course section records to those staff members, and then the course section records in 26-27 will have both an itinerant teacher indicator and a pull-out push-in indicator. And you would use those indicators to tell CalPADS whether or not the teacher is itinerant or pull-out push-in. If those indicators are Y or yes, then you are not required to submit the student course section records in addition to the course.
And just so you know, Matt is and Gary is showing on the screen there, flash 326, which Matt just detailed so lovely out. 326 was sent out yesterday, Tuesday, what's today? I don't know. It was sent out this week and it is not yet posted to the website. However, it will be coming soon. And so for those of you that don't get our listserv messages, just know that it will be posted to our website typically within the coming week or two.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Thank you as well for the question, Rebecca. Moving on to Clarissa's question at 351. If a high school posted a 12th grader at the end of the day, it says May, so it may be at the end of May or it may be at the end of the day. We'll do some context clues. As a 23360, and then the student lands in our court school in June. We will enroll the student in June in our SIS and in CalPADS. When the student exits, should we also post the 23360 as the exit? And it's the end of May, not the end of the day. Thank you, Clarissa.
Are we waiting for me, Matt, or are you just rereading?
I am analyzing in preparation for a response, but if someone has a response before I do, feel free to jump in.
The only thing I would say is CalPADS would allow it, right? I don't think we have any kind of validation that says, hey, you have two enrollments with an E23360. I think that I would maybe double check with the previous school, because unless that was their actual last day of school, that E23360 may be just a T160 saying, hey, this student is transferring to your school, right? And so then that would kind of make more sense in terms of looking at the student's enrollment. They went from their home school or their home LEA, and now they're at the court school. And then you would exit the E23360 if that was the last day of school and the student's not expected to enroll anywhere else.
Yes. And so with that though, I agree with everything that Alex said, but the first portion that she mentioned of reach out to the other school, that would be key to me, because did they know that the student was transferring? If so, the recommended code then would be that that student is a T160 with them because they've transferred out of their district and then they're transferring in with you. At first, I think I got stuck on why are they exiting them out in June, but then I clued in and I was like, yeah, because you got to close your school year out, huh? And so, and then to me, then it wouldn't be year 23360 if they're still continuing with you all for the 20. This goes back, I think, to like Larnie's question earlier. If they're returning with you as like a 5th year senior, then you would put them as the E156 because they're expected to be continuing with you is what I'm detecting, Clarissa, for your 26-27 school year. And then that way you won't have the dropout.
Okay. So she did provide a point of clarification that there was a gap from the last day of the previous high school and the court enrollment, which happened in mid-June. It looks like it was a couple weeks of a gap. So I don't know if that changes anything in your response, Sean.
But do you all actually have summer school? I hear that they're enrolling with you in June, but do you actually have summer school, like where they're attending for your 25-26 school year?
Court
Yeah,
school is
okay.
year round.
Yes, so then yes, you would enroll them then for your 25-26 school year, and then you would be exiting them out as like the E-156 versus them not being the completer status at all. So then you can continue their what's the word? So you can what's the word? Educational history is the meaning of it. You're
Is it
continuing-
longitudinal?
Are you asking for Mr. Longitudinal to kick in here?
Thank you, Paul. Yes. You're continuing their longitudinal history. Yes, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I'm working on like a whole nother policy document. I'm like, wait, what's the word? And I'm literally creating a glossary at this point in time too. So yes, you would be continuing them. Oh, okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sean. I do think that's a very helpful answer.
And Clarissa, this is so your LEA does not end up with the dropout. If you're continuing their record as the E-156, then you're showing that they're continuing, so you don't end up with that dropout then.
All right. Thank you, Sean and Clarissa, for the question. And that brings us to the end of the Q&A box, but we're at a much more appropriate time now. It's about 3:58. We've got a couple more minutes if anybody has a last minute question. All right, Angela, what do you think?
I say, let me end it.
All right, let's go ahead and end it here. Thank you, everyone, for attending the Wednesday Q&A this week. Good luck towards the initial certification deadline next Friday. Again, that is July 17th. We will be here at the same time, same place next week in preparation for that deadline. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week this week.